Hello and welcome to another Knitting Pod. Happy New Year, my friends. I cannot tell you how much I have missed being with you guys, how much I've needed to sit down and chit chat with you. So the extra long break was not because I wanted it or needed it. It was just sometimes life just does not allow for the things you want to do. You know what I mean? I know you know what I mean. But anyway, I am so happy to be sitting down with you. Seriously, I have not planned anything. I am going to say, usually I give my podcasts a lot of thought, but I have not had time. And I happen to have a little chunk of time that I ejected my family from the house. So here I am, unscripted completely, but I just thought, you know what? It doesn't matter. If it's a little chaotic, it doesn't matter because I just really wanted to chit chat with you guys. I have to apologize for unceremoniously ending my Vlogmas. It's just how my life unfolded in those few days was just truly chaotic and did not leave any time for me to have a moment alone. It like went from tons of time alone to like zero time. And I was just unable to do like any sort of wrap up. So I really do apologize for that. It's funny because I think I made it to day 23 and I didn't have time. My husband came home, the kids were out of school, and it was like pure chaos exploded into my life. So anyway, I hope you had a lovely holiday season. I hope you had a lovely New Year's Eve. I think I went to bed at 9:30 on New Year's Eve. I find New Year's Eve to be bossy. Like I don't need to be told when to stay up late or when to have fun. It's a young person's game. I am not interested anymore in New Year's Eve. It is another night. We were still in the mountains and yeah, it was nothing special in terms of celebration. It was a great ski trip. Any ski trip that ends with no injuries is always a success. I think that's how I define success for ski trips because I am a worrier. I am not a thrill seeker. I am a chill seeker. So flying down a mountain it's a good exercise in expanding my comfort zone. Let's just put it that way. I do enjoy it, but I'm not like left to my own devices. I wouldn't go skiing on my own because I love it so much. But my family loves it and I refuse to be excluded. So I do enjoy it. And I also think, I don't know if any of you are skiers, but I think it's one of the very few things I ever do where I am truly fully present in my mind and body while I'm doing it. Like I cannot let my mind wander and ski. Like it just requires a lot of physical presence, and I really do enjoy that. I think it's so hard to find anything in life that requires that kind of unified presence from your mind and your body. So it was a great ski trip. I do feel like we could have used some snow, but you can't boss the weather around, unfortunately. So I am wearing my Trinnigan by Andrea Mowry from, I think I finished this. I remember working on this I guess this might be a 2023 finish. I think that might be right. I think I might have finished it in January of 2023. And I've talked about it a lot here before that this was my maiden voyage with Spin Cycle and I wasn't thrilled. But the more how do I say this? Well, two things are happening right now. I'm working with Spin Cycle for that Traveler shawl, and I am so head over heels with both the shawl and the yarn I'm using that I've had this like new desire to love this cardigan because it is all spin cycle. And so I've been wearing it a lot and I am enjoying it more and more. I think there are several reasons I wasn't a huge fan of this cardigan. And I think first and foremost, I want this shape to look good on me or to feel good in it, but I just don't. I have told y'all before, I feel like SpongeBob SquarePants. It's just, I have very broad shoulders and it just makes me feel like a rectangle. And I don't think that has anything to do with the yarn. I think that has to do with the shape of the cardigan. Number two, I don't think I love these colors to look at, but I don't love them to wear. And 2023 was a year I really started to understand the difference in that for me, that I can look at a color and have my entire being lit up, but then not necessarily want to wear that color. And that seems so weird, but alas, it's true. Like I love this. This is the yarn Verses by Spin Cycle in, I think this is Hot and Heavy. Yes, this is Hot and Heavy. It's like this coral and purple. And then this is Love Spell in Dream State. I, in retrospect, wish I had done like maybe use the Love Spell, but like in a neutral brown, a dark brown or something background. I think the coral with the Love Spell, it's just too much. It's too much bright color. And I think I would like this better if it were darker. But you know what? I have been wearing it more, and the more I wear it, the more I like it. I like the way that the yarn has a wooliness but doesn't itch. I like the colors being, like, I'm just leaning into it. I actually have been wearing it a lot around the house. And this sounds like a small thing, but I've realized it's a big thing. If I hang up a sweater that I want to wear more rather than have it folded, I wear it more. It's just visually more like right there. And it is not stretching, especially if you wear it often. It's not just sitting on that hanger for hours and hours and days and days and days without being taken off and put on. And if this stretched, I wouldn't care anyway. So I feel like it's okay to hang your knits sometimes. Like maybe not superwash alpaca or something, like not superwash alpaca, superwash or alpaca. Those are very stretchy things. But because this is a bit more woolly, I have found no problem hanging it up. So that was a very long explanation of something I've talked about many times. But I did want to talk about the fact that I have kind of, I don't know, I'm so in love with the colors, the way the colors unfold with Spin Cycle, that I'm kind of finding that the way it feels, the fact that it's not super soft is just less important. Does that make sense? Anyway, you're like, woman, can we see something new? Yes, I'm out of practice. I'm out of practice of just being in normal life, and normal life includes podcasting. So anyway, let me show you my Traveler Shawl by Andrea Mowry. I cast this on, I don't know, a few days before we left. I'm going to show you the way it looks on my needles, and then I'm going to put it on some pearl strings to stretch it out, because it's something I've been wanting to do and I haven't had time to do, or I haven't wanted to tear myself away from knitting to do, but it would look a lot better when I stretch it out, because right now it's just so squished up on the needles. So you start down here, and then there's a lot of increases. If you can tell, it's this part of the shawl is very wide rather than, so basically you're making a very wide triangle, and then you're picking up stitches along one side to make more of a triangular, like a normal triangular shape. So Right now I have to get to 295 stitches on my needle, and I think I'm at like 275 or so. So I'm almost there. It is just, these rows get very long. This is the Spin Cycle Dream State in the colorway Ghost Ranch. I'm gonna start putting it on the thing while we talk about it. You guys, I just, I don't know how to explain how much I've loved this project. It's just, it's that Goldilocks scenario where it is soothingly repetitive, but not boring. And I just think that's such a sweet spot. And I find that shawls hit that sweet spot way more often than any other type of knitting. Maybe you sock knitters feel that way. I am obsessed. This quite possibly is one of my favorite knits of, I mean, I know it's 2024, but it was probably one of my favorite things I've worked on last year. I think this and the heirloom quilt cardigan are tied. And I am going to do a recap of 2023 episode where I show you oh crap. This is exactly what I was dreading. Was the little, if you don't put on the barber cords tight enough, it will pop off. This is absolutely not. You know what? I'm going to pause. Well, maybe I can do this while talking. I'm not doing it very well while talking right this second. Did you miss me? Did you miss my absolutely chaotic podcasts? I'm so sorry. This is so silly and annoying. But note to self, I'm telling you, I can't live without these barber cords, but truly, if you start unloading a ton and there comes to be a lot of weight on the join to the, between the, there we go. They're back on. I think I only dropped one stitch that I'll have to pick up. If you don't connect these incredibly tight and then you start to really push through a lot of stitches, just a lot of weight is coming on that join and it will kind of pop off. But if you do it in a more mindful way than I'm doing right now, I really haven't had trouble. But I do need to be careful so that this does not happen again while I'm doing this. Anyway, what I was saying, I'm going to stop there. I think this is good enough. There are no words to how much I have enjoyed this project. I think that's as good as it's going to get right now until it's blocked. I don't know why, but like these giant long pearl rows that you encounter, they have not bothered me at all. It's just been the most joyful project. This is what I think Andrea Mowry does so well, is once in a while, she just knocks it out of the park with rhythmic, lovely knitting that is just, I don't know. She's just really, really good at that. And this is one of those times, I've told you guys, I've gone through like stages with her where I'm like super obsessed and I want to knit everything she designs. And then other times I'm just like, I need a break. I think that's with anything. If you overdo it, you get burned out. But this time I cannot tell you how much I'm enjoying this sweater. And leave it to me to decide to use as much stash yarn as possible this year, and then simultaneously fall in love with like the most expensive yarn ever. Like, of course, that's something that I would do. I wish I didn't love this $34 a 50-gram skein yarn as much as I do, but I do. It's watching it unfold into the knitting it's just all sparkly unicorns flying out of my mind. That's what it feels like. It's just, and this particular colorway, Ghost Ranch, it's perfect. This is the color scheme that I want my entire year to be about. I want to work within these exact colors. It's just calling to me. And I don't know. I really, really want this year to have a cohesive knitting color story so that all my pieces just feel very wearable. And I think it's doable because the palette is so wide. Like it includes, like there's navies in here, there's bright yellows, there's this really pretty kind of salmony color. And then every bit of it is just mashed up and it's just like the best kind of chaos. I love it. I love it. I'm going on and on because I feel like at some point I might actually be able to communicate how much I've fallen in love with this yarn. I do have to say, I think Ghost Ranch is my number one above and beyond favorite colorway that they make. And there's not even a distant second yet. I might have to kind of, I don't know. I really like Truth Bomb because it's a really nice blend of deeper colors, darker colors with like a little bit of neon. It's like this color neon, yellow, greeny kind of. But I would love to know if you guys love Spin Cycle. I know everybody on the planet loves it, but it's so expensive. And what is your favorite colorway? I would love to know. I know Michelle is making this and she made it, she's like done. She made it out of a bunch of leftovers that she had, I think Vibe Check, Valley Girl, a couple others. And she just bought the one that they just released. What's it called? Dark Matter. I think it's called Dark Matter. It's the collaboration between Spin Cycle and Wishbone Yarns from South Africa. It's got like a lot of dark purple and it's beautiful. I'm just curious what your favorites are because I want to try some, and I really think my extremely overindulgent birthday sweater looks like it might be the Traveler Pullover by Andrea Mowry, which is this same stitch pattern in a hoodie, which is when it came out, when I was like, meh. But number one, I live in athleisure. I love a hoodie. Number two, it's actually a very oversized in the sleeves Andrea Mowry sweater, which is very rare. And wait, was that two? Yes. Three, I think it would be amazing in dyed in the wool because it requires a sport weight and dyed in the wool is a sport weight. And I really don't know what colorway I'd want to use. Honestly, I'd love to use Ghost Ranch, but I don't know if having a big shawl like this and a pullover like that in the same colorway is like the best use of extremely large amounts of yarn budget. So yeah, okay, I really apologize. I feel like it was like for word vomit for the last 20 minutes. This is how I feel when I don't have like a thought out outline. I feel like it's just a bad episode, but whatever. It's lucky that I'm even here sitting here with you guys. But anyway, okay. One more thing I do want to say, or I'm sure this is not, there are going to be many more things to say about this, but I have been continuing to experiment with Norwegian Pearl and I have loved it. I have found so much more fluidity with Norwegian Pearl because these pearl rows are very long and uninterrupted. I've also found that I'm kind of toggling between a regular pearl where I bring my yarn to the front and Norwegian Pearl. So I don't necessarily always do the entire 200 stitches with Norwegian Pearl. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I find that I fall in and out of a regular pearl and a Norwegian Pearl. But if you are a continental left-handed knitter and you're curious, I highly encourage you to try, because I really do think it has been responsible for my hands feeling so good, because the fact that I can go between those two means there's less stress just always in one part. Because with Norwegian Pearl, there's more twisting motion in your right hand. And I have found in regular Pearl, I end up putting more pressure on my left thumb joint here at the base, and I will feel it. And I haven't felt anything. And I really think it's because I've been going in between those two, that the twisting isn't causing issues up here, and the putting more pressure on that left hand needle is not, it's not overworking this. So please try it if you are so inclined. Don't expect that it'll be like in the first 5 minutes you'll find comfort in it. It will take a long time, but I think it's really worth trying. So yes, that is the Traveler Shawl. Couldn't recommend it more. I have just enjoyed it so much. I think it's another one of those Andrea Mowry patterns similar to the Night Shift shawl or the whole Shift series, where you could really enjoy making it over and over in different types of yarn. Great way to enjoy your stash. Great gift knitting, because I love, if I'm going to make something for someone else, I love using stash. I don't know, there's something bonus about not like having to buy new yarn when you gift, because your knitting itself is the gift, the time is the gift. There's just infinite ways that this shawl could come together in a beautiful way. I don't know. I love it. If you're making it, I'd be so curious to know if you love it as much as I do. I have not knit anything else since I last saw you. Not one stitch on my husband's sweater, not one stitch on the heirloom quilt cardigan. I have truly just been knitting this. I don't feel like I had a ton of knitting time when we were traveling, so it may not look like I have gotten a ton done, but this is a lot of knitting. Like it is such a weird shape right now that it doesn't look super deep, but it's a lot of stitches, I will tell you that much. So yeah, I look forward to continuing to obsessively knit this. I just need to get my husband to try on his sweater, and it's been just so chaotic. I think here I am going to segue, I think, into life, because I don't have any more knitting to share. And I think you're probably maxed out on hearing me, wax poetic about Spin Cycle. So if you're not interested in my life segue, then I will see you next time. But I think I underestimated how, if you've been watching my Vlogmas, my husband was gone for like 5 weeks and then came back on like December 24th. He came back on December 24th, I think, or was it 23rd? Whatever, right before Christmas. It was there was definitely a transition back to us all being together. Like, it's really hard. It's very hard to go from working like 18 and 20-hour days for him in a conference room with just a whole bunch of other people to being back at home and being with your family and having the rhythm be very different. My heart went out to him. It was I could just see on his face so much of the time how difficult it was, how preoccupied he still was with work, and it was hard. It was a transitional vacation, because unfortunately there was so little time between his return and us leaving for the mountains. And the first day he was like, I think I'm going to take a nap. And he slept for like 6 hours because he was so exhausted. And it's been a little weird. It's been so wonderful to have him back. Don't get me wrong, but it's just been like, it's almost like I've gotten so used to doing everything by myself that it's hard to ask for not even help, but it's hard to come back to co-parenting when you're just so in the rhythm of doing everything. It's just been an interesting time. I tell you what, man, it's been an interesting couple of months, and I have a feeling it's going to be an interesting year because I think there's a lot more travel for him this year. So it's just going to be a lot of cutting everybody's slack. I think I'm so glad, we've been married forever, it feels like, and there's so much loving goodwill and ability to give each other grace without getting irritated or like I feel like I'll talk to him and I can see his mind is just in work still, and I'm not. The old me maybe 10 years ago would have gotten so mad and offended, and the me now is so I'm able to just give him grace and be like, he's just working so hard and trying so hard to do so much on every front. And I feel like I can just be gracious about it, and not just be like, it's okay. I know how hard it must be on his, to be him right now. So that is one small aspect of life. I have to tell you guys, I've truly missed you. Like, I enjoyed so much in December doing my own version of Vlogmas that was not celebratory or festive, but just really getting to visit with you guys every day. And I missed you. If you've ever wondered whether, at least, I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I wonder if other podcasters, I miss the conversation, the back and forth. It's such a lovely part of my life. And this was my first full year of podcasting, like somewhere in mid-December was my first year anniversary. And I just felt so utterly grateful to the fact that we have found this lovely place, and I've found this place to share so much of myself, like not just one aspect. I'm blown away by how welcoming you all have been to all the parts of me. And it's been such an absolute joy to be with you and share with you. And I love taping these podcasts. I honestly do. It's so fun to have this back and forth with you guys. So if you've ever hesitated to comment on a podcaster's podcast, I would encourage you to try, because it's such a coming together. Like, every episode is such a collaboration, even though you don't realize it, because you guys say things to me and then they affect me and I incorporate them or I think about them, and then that's how the next podcast unfolds. And I have to share one thing with you guys about last year. Like, this is not a well thought out 2023 recap or anything. I have so much that I want to tape. I could tape every day for another month and have enough topics to talk about. But one thing I have to say is that one of the biggest gifts of this last year, and it was from one of you, and I really, really wish I knew who had said this, but it was one episode where I was talking about, y'all know how much I love to listen to audiobooks or podcasts while I knit. And one of you had said that, I think maybe was it Karen or Jen? I don't know. It was somebody. I don't want to misattribute this to someone, so I don't know who it was, but you had said that knitting is a complete thing of its own, and that you don't need to multitask while you're knitting. Like, you can just sit and knit, and this person enjoys doing that. And the impact that had on my life, I cannot even tell you. I have made it, at first it had to be a discipline to just sit and knit. It was like every day, at least 15 minutes, I'm going to sit and knit without anything else, like nothing in my ears. And it became the single most comforting, self-soothing thing that I do for myself now. Now it could literally be an entire hour, like my entire knitting morning, that I can sit quietly and knit and just I've found that like my thoughts are so like I feel like I'm just busy enough with the knitting that my thoughts are calmer. I can think and I love to think. And so much of what I end up talking about on my podcast is stuff that I think about. And it's become this like meditative time where I think and then I get my laptop out and I write and then I'll do it again. And it's just become a truly creative practice for me. And it wouldn't have ever happened if it weren't for that person's comment. And for that, I'm so grateful. Like that is probably the best thing that happened to me in 2023 was getting to that point because it feels meditative to me. And I don't know. I highly, highly encourage you to try it and see and try it for a long period of time and see if you can feel a real shift in yourself. We're so overstimulated. We're so used to being in a grocery line and being like, I'm bored, pop out your phone and look at Instagram. Sitting in traffic, you're at a red light, you pick up your phone. It's just, I feel like our phones are these double-edged swords that let us access so much more, but they also keep us from accessing so much more within ourselves. And the constant input through my ears, even if it's good stuff like books or really good podcasts, there's something to like letting yourself sink into your own self and your own thoughts that's like more valuable than anything you could read or listen to coming from the outside. And that has been so wonderful for me. Last year, I'm really looking at kind of comprehensively being more conscious across the board in my life about what I'm letting into my mind, because what you let into your mind, it just ends up seeping into, it's like a drop of dye into a big thing of water. That one tiny drop colors the entire tank of water, and we have to be mindful of that. And I really, once my kids go back to school, you guys, they're still here. They are not back at school. So that's why I haven't been able to podcast since we got home from the mountains, because they're always there. It's like there's not 1 second of peace. God bless them. I love them to death, but this is the first time I've had the house to myself in forever. So that is why I haven't podcasted. But when they finally go back to school, I'm really going to give myself time to think about putting some parameters around how much I'm letting into my brain all the time. I don't know if any of that made sense. Also, my dog is snoring, so I apologize. I hate when that background is there, but she has an infection in her paw, and I just don't have the heart to kick her out. I didn't have the heart to kick her out because she's been like limping around like this sad pup, and so she's here, she's snoring, and she's just the cutest thing. Like if you could see her, your heart would melt, but just the snoring has got to be kind of irritating. But anyway, okay. Lastly, this episode is dedicated to Jackie, who left me the sweetest message over the holidays about that she was missing the podcast and that she's, I think it would be jarring to see someone every day if you were following around along on Vlogmas and then suddenly they disappear, and she was worried. And it was truly like it made me feel so loved that she was spending some of her precious motherly worrying on me. And it made me feel bad that I made her worry. So Jackie, you're the best. You're so sweet. Your message meant so much to me and to anyone else who felt wholly abandoned at the end of Vlogmas. I really do apologize. I also apologize for a very discombobulated, word vomity episode. I have too much stored up in my mind that I want to share with you, and it's kind of all coming out in a rush, in an unorganized way. But I have so many podcasts outlined and ready to go. I cannot wait to get my kids to school so that I can get some of it out and we can start sharing in a new year Have a lovely Saturday. Today is Saturday, January 6th. Every day feels the same. It feels like Groundhog Day. I have no distinguishing between weekdays and weekends anymore. Don't fall for the January nonsense. There is nothing wrong with you. You don't need to go on a diet. You don't need to become vegan unless you want to. It's great for the environment, but you don't need to. I've always found that January brings out like this deep-seated anxiety. Like, do I need to rehaul my entire life? The answer is no, okay? Don't fall for it. You're beautiful, you're perfect. The only thing you need to do is go knit. So go knit in some silence and be with your thoughts, and we will be together again soon. I cannot wait. Have a lovely day, you guys. See you soon.